Hey, I never knew I could be more productive. I've always been busy, but I discovered some tips from my mentor. And today, I have here in this video my mentor and somebody I so much love, and he has taught me so much about time management, purpose, and some other stuff we will be discussing in this video. And today, I want to bring to your screen Evangelist Israel AD. Papa, welcome, sir. I really appreciate your coming out of your tight schedule. And first of all, I've met with people telling me they have a whole lot of issues. Some even meet me and discuss about depression. And based on some of the knowledge I've learned for a while now, I discovered that when people discover purpose, it's a cure for depression. So I want to really know, what is your perspective about purpose and fulfilling it?
All right. Well, it's very key. It's quite necessary because the Bible says to everything there's a purpose, and then there's time for everything. Purpose is living a life of value. Living a life of purpose is having direction in life, right? Every one of us were born with a purpose. That means there's nobody without a purpose. In other words, I could call it a call, what people call calling, assignment. So everyone has a specific assignment. But then when time is released into that purpose assignment, then you start running. It will not be destination. So life is quite paramount with purpose. It's number one, it's one thing for you to discover your purpose, what you've been called to do, who you are meant to be. Not who, number one, who were born into the society, who were trained and raised for something. But this time, it is what you're born for. That's your real purpose. We were trained into something. Since when we were born, we've been going to school. Parents wanted us to go in a particular direction. Society gave us direction. Friends gave us direction. But then, when you're done with what you were trained for, you will not have to go back to what you were born for. It is what you were born for that is your actual purpose. So purpose is something we have to discover. But then, before we come to other things, before you talk about purpose, there are about two things in discovering and fulfilling your purpose. I'll come to the part B. Let's about finding your purpose first before discovering purpose. In discovering your purpose, you have to be looking out for opportunities. That's what people tell us. Looking for opportunities. They tell you opportunities come by once. Trying to get opportunities, but then there's something higher than opportunities. Opportunity is just a door that can close at any time. So it's one thing for you to have a purpose, another thing for you to start working in privilege. Privilege is higher than opportunity. Privilege is having a chance. The meaning of opportunity is a chance, but privilege is having that mandate. You walk into it freely. You work for privilege. So if you want to live a balanced life of purpose, it's high time you start working towards privilege. Anybody can shut the door at you. The opportunity given to you today, the person that opens the door can lock the door for you. So opportunities come by once. Opportunity is like a door that closes at any time. So you now have to make up your mind in fulfilling your purpose to start living a privileged life. You can deprive me of my opportunities, but you can't deprive me of my privilege. My privilege is something I've worked for. Opportunity is like inheritance. If you have an opportunity, it can shut down at any time. But having a privileged life, working in your specific purpose, it can give you leverage for 5 generations. I'm not talking about 5 seasons. We'll come to time and seasons. But I'm talking about 5 generations, 20 generations, your entire life and your entire tribe. So welcome to the life of privilege. Let's start with building a life of purpose. But then, in fulfilling a life of purpose, one will have to discover his or her purpose. What is your call? Everyone is not called to be a pastor. Everyone is not called to be a teacher. Everyone is not called to be a doctor. Everyone is not called to be a nurse. There is this level of passion that hits you. You wake up to purpose. So the day you come to consciousness, full consciousness that you have something you're created to do, you start running with it with time. And then in purpose, time frame is attached to every purpose. God does that himself. God attached time to every purpose. That means Immediately you discover your purpose, your time start counting in the realm of the spirit. So most people die without fulfilling their purpose, their time. But then you can be on time in fulfilling your purpose in life. But then you can fall back in time. You can be very late for destiny. So we're talking about finding it and doing it on time. You don't want to arrive late. Those that arrive late, they become useless. Those that arrive late, they are not needed. It's very poor to arrive when the people already had the solution they're looking for. So it's good to land on time. So we'll be discussing timely arrivals. Those that took over their world, they arrived on time. Those that took over their world, they were able to locate opportunities, and they made that opportunity a privilege. Like I told you, you can't deprive me of my privilege. My privileged position is what I've worked for. But my opportunity can deprive me of that. Someone can talk you out of platform, for instance. If you need to gain an admission in a particular school, somebody can replace your name with someone else's name. If you're looking for a job placement, somebody can replace your name. But when you are privileged, you become the platform. There are people looking for platform. But when privilege dawns on you by discovering your purpose, you will become a platform personified. For instance, I don't have to look for where to have a meeting, a conference, like what I'm into in my field, because I've worked for it. I'm operating privilege. Why colleagues are operating opportunity? And those that are operating opportunity, they don't have a choice. People decide for you. But when you're operating privilege, you decide for people. So I don't have to look for a place to go into. Anywhere I turn to, you want me to come, because you are now the platform personified.
Thank you very much. All right, that was so educating. Actually, I really learned so much. Papa, you asked this question: how did you discover that revival, that purpose of the church?
Well, it's a question among others people have been asking. But you see, the life of a man or a woman begins the day he or she have an encounter. So encounter is the day you start fulfilling purpose. You can't. People want to discover their purpose and walk into it, but you cannot find your purpose when you don't have an encounter. That person you meet and it dawns on you that God is calling you in a direction, that thing is an encounter. An encounter is a meeting place. So personally, I had my own encounter. The highest encounter you can have is the encounter with your creator. You don't need to meet the professor of your department to discover your purpose. Your professor can deceive you. Your mentor, your counselor can say something that is not supposed to go for your destiny. Because we don't just take counsels. Because people could counsel you from their own line of destiny. There's nobody in this world with one type of destiny. We all have different type of destiny. So encountering God first. Encounter is a meeting place. So many years ago, I had an encounter with God, and it started burning in my heart. Every revelation of purpose begins from the heart. It's not from the head or from the mind. You watched TV or you did something. It begins with a burning. For instance, if you go down to the Bible, if you check the major prophets, even some of the minor prophets, chapter 1 verse 1, you discover the burden of this guy, the burden of that woman, the burden of Isaiah. So it begins with a burden, a burning in your heart. I actually had that encounter first. Anybody that is holding a copy of the Bible in Africa, they call the person a pastor. So people told me, this guy is a pastor from my primary school, secondary school, campus life, pastor. Until that day, when I discovered my purpose, I was living by the assumption of the people. I was not getting the result of my destiny. That was how I got to know that this can be my field, because if you're in your field, the result will fall out. If you are called into accounting, for instance, if you are called to study law, if you are called to be an apostle, the signs will fall out. If you are called to be a nurse, the signs will follow. So I wasn't seeing my signs. Like the Bible will say, we see not our signs. That means God is not taking us in that direction. So I discovered that I was void of purpose. But then that night, I prayed to God, you have to review. I've read books. The Bible says times and seasons fail. We read so many things. That night, I had a vision. I had a revelation where I've always talked about it in large platforms and conferences, meetings. I saw the vision of hell, and God telling me, I had an encounter. I saw him the way he is. It's like watching a Jesus movie, The Passion of the Cross, where he told me, I've called you to be a revival, an evangelist. See the multitude, see the crowd of people you're going to control. In Asia, let me take you to Australia, let me show you South Korea, let me show you African countries. So I woke up from that encounter. From that day, do you know I started receiving calls in that line? Every appointment I've ever had, major lifting, at the airport, in one country or the other, all the calls from different people, strangers, it came from that line. Like, we're calling you because our church needs revival. We're calling. So it is when you discover that you are void of result, you start working towards your purpose. So that was how it happened. And then I saw the signs, I saw the confirmations, and God will help us.
Thank you very much. That was so enlightening actually. You see, I uploaded a video on purpose some time ago, and I hosted a medical doctor.
Okay.
So, and also a lecturer in the University of Benin, and he was talking about purpose and some stuff like this. But there was something important I mentioned in that video, which was the void in every man.
Yeah.
And while you were also talking again, you mentioned something like that, talking about void.
Yeah.
So I want to know, some of those guys that are depressed, you know,
Yes.
so in the medical field, we talk about depression as a medical condition.
That's right.
Now, I want to know, depression as it is, can it be as a result of that void?
Okay.
People?
Yeah, though depression is a medical condition. That's my view. I studied human physiology.
Yeah,
for
I
some
forgot to
years.
mention that.
So I did physiology. Physiology is everything in the human body. So that's even my part, the heart. So it's part of it. You're right. It's a sign of being void of purpose. Depression. The different types of depression. People could be depressed because they are broke. People could be depressed because someone broke their heart. So depression varies. But this type of depression we're talking about now is when you are not getting result in what you're doing. Depression sets in. So that will now give you a signal that you're doing the wrong thing. So the mistake people make is that when they get depressed that way, people commit suicide, people sit down idle, I don't want to do anything anymore. So that depression should move you to discover the right one.
Wow, that depression should move you to discover the right one. That was much actually. And
In the, let's not call it wrong field, huh? Maybe a doctor having a side business and everything is working, whereas God wants that person, or divinity wants that person to start going for school outreach, medical outreach. So one of the signs is, in every human life, in your life now, you have two parts of your life. You have a casual life and a professional life. So casual life is something you are not fully called into, but it's working for you. That's casual. So the mistake people make is that, visionaries make, is that they've not been able to build their professional life. Your professional life is your destiny. That's what you've been called into. For instance, the president of Nigeria is the president of Nigeria, but he's a farmer. He has the biggest farm here in Nigeria and some of the African countries. He has a very big farm. Well, his presidency is a call, anyway, for quite some time, for tenure. But his professional life is farming, agriculture. When he leaves that city, he's going back to his farm. He talked about that some weeks ago, though. So you have two aspects of your life. One could be working, the other one could be failing. Your professional life is what you should really focus on, because that's what you will be known for professionally. So it's high time you start working on your professional life. That's one of the signs you will have. If one is working, and even if a particular field is working for you, you will feel a vacuum. That vacuum now is not the depression type. That vacuum is a sense of unfulfillment. You are not getting fulfilled, even if people are hailing you, celebrating you. So that vacuum you feel should cheer you up to start working on your professional life. Immediately you start working on your professional life, you derive balance. So when it's one-sided, there is no balance. The sign of purpose, discovery, and fulfillment is balanced. You're balanced in your normal business. You're balanced in the major call. So that's how it is. It is a calling. Everyone is called to be rich. I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper and be in health, even as thy soul prospereth. So everyone is called to have the money, but the fulfillment is what you use the money for. So if you do not have money as a visionarian, you can't fulfill your purpose aright. Yeah, you can't bless lives. If you want to fix up a big conference now, 1 million cannot get you a good instrument now.
yeah,
So you need money for these things. If you are called into the fashion world, you need money to bring the trendy stuff.
Okay, so in summary, money is a tool to finance or support the purpose fulfillment.
That's right.
So, thank you.